Welcome to Gio's Randori, the judo podcast from Giovanna Scocimaro. My name is Luigi Scocimaro. I'm the brother of Giovanna and co-host of this one and only judo podcast. And today our just second episode in English language. So we need to kind of get used to it. So if there will be some grammar or word errors, just relax, okay? We are trying, but today we have a lovely guest who is native in English, so she can correct us all the way. And this will be Natalie Powell. Hi, Natalie.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
And Giovanna is also like more or less fluent in English, so I guess it could work.
I'm trying. Hi, you guys. Nice to see you, Natalie. And thanks for joining us today. We hope our English is not like too German and you will enjoy it.
Sure, I will.
Yeah. So we have Natalie in this podcast. I think everybody should know her who watching judo on the highest level. She's like for over 10 years on the international level in the category under 78 kilogram, like on the highest level, and a lot of medals on European Championship, World Championships, and Grand Slams Grand Prix. And unfortunately, more or less, you can say it if it's unfortunately or not, she announced her retirement. And yeah, well, we thought that's a nice thing to have conversation today. And therefore, we invited her, and thankfully, she was ready for it. So we appreciate your time. And now in the beginning, you can introduce yourself, like who you are, what you're doing, how old you is, and maybe also how do you got to know Giovanna?
So I've been a judo player for the last, pretty much my whole life. I started when I was 8 years old, and I grew up in Mid Wales, in the UK. And yeah, as a kid, I probably did a lot of judo, netball, tennis, and athletics until I was about 18. And then I had to make a decision which way I was going to go. Couldn't decide between netball and judo. And netball basically said to me, if you're not going to just do netball, we don't want you. So, you have to pick. And I didn't want to pick. So I decided the only way I could do with both was go back to county level at netball and, try and progress with my judo. And, before long, I was just doing judo. And, from 18, I moved to Cardiff, where I started in the full-time centre in Cardiff. And I was in under 70 kilos then. And for 2 or 3 years, I was making weight, and it was horrible. My life was, very sad making 70 kilos. So eventually I decided to go up to 78. And as soon as I went up to 78, my career started to progress then. I suddenly was actually thinking about how do I get better at judo and not how I make weight. I think I made the under 23 team for Britain when I was about 21. And then from there, I just started progressing really fast then, really. And I'm 34 now, and my career's come to an end. So the next stage is, I'm going to try and stay in judo, doing a little bit of coaching, and just got a new job with Welsh Golf. So doing work with the performance and pathway team there. So a new chapter, very different, new sport, but a lot of transferable skills from what I've learned through judo, really. So that's kind of a whistle-stop tour, I suppose.
Yeah, thank you so much for introducing yourself. We were just, before we started recording, we were talking about netball. I didn't know you were already had to decide for both, but gratefully you first decided for judo. Now still you're doing some netball, like you said.
Yeah.
And we wanted to know why, or what was the reason why you started with judo?
I think when I was younger, I just loved all sport. Like I said, I was doing netball, judo, athletics, anything I could do really. And I always used to fight my dad in the kitchen at home, and we used to just play that all the time. And my mum used to get really annoyed because we were breaking things, and I just remember her screaming at us all the time. And one of the kids from school's parents said to her that, I take my kid to judo, which was 10 miles down the road. And she was like, that sounds like a great idea. Said to me, do you fancy going to do judo? You can fight kids in a safe environment. You don't have to fight dad in the kitchen anymore. I was like, okay, we'll go. Let's give it a go. And a few of my friends from school were doing it when we started, maybe 5 or 6 of us. And it was fun. I just really enjoyed it. And then over the years, they slowly dropped out. And somehow I kept going. I think a big pro of it was all year, whereas I do like athletics in the summer, netball in the winter, and then judo was kind of there, always in the background. So there was no season. So I think that was probably quite a big part of how it stuck, really.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So you already mentioned that you originated from Wales, but you started for the British Judo Team. It's just like, I guess, football and rugby, those are the only sports where there's a Wales national team, an Irish national team, Scottish national team, and in all the other sports, there's more or less, let's say, this British system. And we wanted to know, how is the talent development and the high performance sports structure in Great Britain? And are there any difference depending on which area of Great Britannia you are from? Because you mentioned already that you moved when you were 18 years to Cardiff, and I think also later on you go to Birmingham, when I'm not wrong. Yeah. And like, how is the system? Because, for example, this may be a nice thing to know. Like for example, in Czech Republic, I was living 1 year in Czech Republic. There is more or less just one big national training center. It's in Prague. And for example, in Germany, there is like in Hanover, Berlin, Munich, and there's a lot of and it's a little bit more decentralized. Like, how is this structure and the talent development in Britain?
So I think through my career, it's changed quite a lot. But Wales and Scotland, Ireland and England all have separate governing bodies. So through the cadet and junior levels, you're more part of the Welsh squad, the Scottish squad, the English squad, unless you're good enough to go to the Europeans or the World Championships, which then you'll go for with the Great British Team. And then the funding systems are very strange, because Wales has its own funding pot and so does Scotland, whereas England doesn't really. So England and Scotland, have funding pots, and they can distribute that through cadet, junior or senior athletes, whereas England, they just put their pot of money into the cadet level, really. So once you get to junior level in England, you don't get so much support from the national body unless you're on the British team. So coming from Wales or Scotland, you're a little bit more fortunate in some respects. For me, for example, I wasn't at British level when I was 16, 18. And if I'd been in England, I probably would have slipped through the net and probably wouldn't have come through, because there wouldn't have been the support there for me unless I'd reached that British level. Whereas in Wales, I was one of the best in Wales still, even though I wasn't quite British level. So they supported me a lot coming through with, going to competitions, getting that exposure abroad and to training camps. Scotland and Wales are much smaller and don't necessarily have such elite like the top level, so many. But there is a different type of support there that they can offer. But as my career's gone on, the whole British system used to be very much maybe 5 centres around Britain, whereas now it's a centralised programme. So if you want to compete for Great Britain and go to the World Championships, Europeans, or qualify for Olympic Games, you technically can do it outside the centre, but it's going to be very hard for you because you're going to have to fund everything yourself. You wouldn't get any sort of APA support from the association. You wouldn't get your trips paid for unless it's Worlds or Europeans, which are paid for by the governing body, regardless of where you're from. So the system, that's why I moved to Warsaw in, was it 2017? I think, after Rio, they centralised the programme. And then everybody had to move there if they wanted any sort of funding or support in that aspect. So I went there for 3 years, I think, and I moved back to Cardiff in around 2019. And the Welsh system supported me for the next few years. And then actually I ended up going back to Warsaw for the last 2 years of my career as well. Basically because there were so many changes in the systems throughout my career. So I don't know if that's explained it very well.
So it was like no problem that you were like fighting for Great Britain, but were sponsored from the Wales system, or? Yeah,
so when I moved back to Wales in 2019, the Welsh were supporting my APA and my day-to-day training and stuff. And they were funding my trips as well. except the Worlds, the Europeans, and Masters. But if you were of the level to qualify for those events, Britain would still take you.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was lucky that I had the Welsh support. Whereas again, if I was an English athlete, there wouldn't be a English centre to fall back on to get that support from.
Yeah.
But it's changed again now in the last 2 years. The money in Scotland and Wales and the home nations has gone very much towards development judo. So cadets, juniors. So if you're a senior athlete in those countries, it's going to be hard to do it unless you're in the centre of Britain.
Yeah. So in Wales, as we I think it was, we were mentioned, like also when we were talking before, there are pretty popular sports like football, rugby, and golf.
Yeah.
Like where you are. Yeah. And is judo like similar, like in Germany, is like a nice sport, or is it like really popular in Wales or also in the UK?
I think the numbers have dropped in the UK over recent years. I know if you go back, I don't know what decades, but we have got a really strong history of judo in the UK. But I think in more recent times, the numbers are dropping. I don't know what numbers you got in Britain. I know that the British Judo Association has got about 38,000 members. And then the Welsh Association has about 1,800. So I don't know how that compares to Germany. When it compares to golf, like there's 80,000 people playing golf in Wales alone. So that's already double what are playing judo in Britain. So, but I don't know what the German numbers would compare to that.
Yeah, I actually don't know how many we are like in German, but it's not like a popular sport. It's more like many people, when you're talking to some people, they'd be like, oh, you're doing judo. I did judo also when I was younger, but then they quit. And it's like, I guess every fifth person be like, oh, I did judo before too. But no one is like going further, and it's like not like unpopular, but it's like cool to do, for Germans.
Yeah. I feel like judo might be a little bit bigger in Germany. I know you've got the Bundesliga, and that seems to be a lot bigger and keep a lot of people in the sport for a little bit longer, maybe. But I think
also.
Sorry, go on.
No. I think more for the Bundesliga, we get more people like we have, and also like the strong teams who can pay for it also get the athletes from the outside, or like, yeah. So it's like, it kind of depends.
Yeah, I think also in the UK, MMA and the rise of BJJ and all this mixed martial arts, that seems to be a little bit more popular at the moment. Like it's new and it's a bit fashionable. So I think we're competing with that quite a lot. I don't know if is that affecting you in Germany the same way? Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe.
Could be. So also like MMA is also getting more and more popular. I mean, like in the UK with Conor McGregor, like 7, 8, 9 years ago, I could believe that there was like really big hype, and now I think slowly it's getting also to Germany.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't know with whom we're competing, but the numbers are going down like for years, especially in COVID was horrific. We was one of the 5 baddest sports who lost the most members. And, so let's see.
I suppose it was like the last one to coming back in COVID, really. You can't really get away from contact, can you, in judo? So.
Yeah. That's true.
Sorry.
Bless you. So, right now we will get maybe for the next questions a little bit more like in detail in your career, what you achieved throughout your career, where you got like amazing achievements. And I guess you know Joanna for like a couple of years, because she's also like in this international circuit. But there is one competition Joanna didn't compete yet, will not compete, and will not get any medal for sure. It's
maybe I changed my nationality.
Oh, you definitely should. It's definitely worth it.
I might think about it.
So maybe you know the next question, because in 2014 you won the Commonwealth Games, which were at the time in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. And like, how important is this Commonwealth system, Commonwealth Games? Because like we in Germany, it's not a big competition for us. Maybe it's sometimes in the news, but not too often. And it's like kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
But how important is it like in Great Britain, and maybe also like is it more important in Wales? And how prestigious was winning this gold medal for you personally?
So I know most people grow up dreaming of winning the Olympic Games, whereas if you're a Welsh, you often grow up dreaming of winning the Commonwealth Games, which is strange. Yeah, my Olympic aspirations come much later than my Commonwealth Games ones. I remember a guy coming back to my club, one of the guys, he got a bronze medal in the Manchester Games. And yeah, as soon as he came back, like that was the thing I wanted to do. I wanted to win a gold medal for Wales. And it's the only opportunity you actually get to compete for Wales as well, because we always compete for Great Britain. So it means a great deal to Wales and Scotland and Ireland particularly. I don't think the English have the same passion around it as us guys do, because I think often the English see themselves as Great Britain, whereas there's a more, this is just my opinion, but I feel like there's a bigger identity around being Welsh or Scottish or Irish. There just seems a bit more patriotism around it. So yeah, personally, I always just dreamed of winning the Commonwealth Games, and Wales had never won the Commonwealth Games in judo. And so yeah, there was just an extra excitement around it really. So yeah, it did mean a lot to win that. I know in the grand scheme of things, to everybody outside of it, people don't really see it, but yeah, inside everybody's it means a lot to the athletes in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's also crazy because when you actually see how many countries compete there, you don't know it if you're not from this Commonwealth region, let's say. And it's like also like really high competition and high level of competition. So I think it's nice.
Thing with judo in the Commonwealth, it's not always in the Commonwealth Games. So there's a Commonwealth Games every 4 years, but I think in my lifetime there's, I want to say 3 or 4 judo. Well, I don't know about lifetime, but since I've been interested in judo and understand it, I think it's only been in like 3 times. So you don't get that many opportunities to have a go at winning it.
And is it like also every 4 years, or is it like every year or every 2 years? How is it going?
The Commonwealth Games is every 4 years, which is
4 years.
The more competitive competition. But they do have a Commonwealth Championships every year, which is more for younger developing athletes, really.
So like the Commonwealth Games is more like kind of European Games from the feeling, or like from the system?
Like European Games?
Yes.
In terms of the actual games feeling, it felt very much like Olympics, or were like, okay, Olympics is way bigger, obviously. In terms But in terms of like the setup, like the dining hall and like all the houses and the traveling to the venues and all that, very similar.
That's cool, actually.
Yeah, it's a really good way to experience a game-like feeling. And I remember Commonwealth Games being one of the first sort of games I went to, and the opening ceremony, like it was the best opening ceremony I've been to out of all the different things I've been to. It was incredible. Glasgow did a really good job of hosting the event. Yeah.
That's cool. So like talking about the Olympics, we're coming to our like next question, because in 2016 you were going to your first Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. And how was the experience for you, and how proud were you being like an Olympian?
I was very proud to finally get the spot, because it was 2 years of trying to qualify, and there was another British girl, Gemma Gibbons, and she won an Olympic silver in the previous games. And it was so hard. Like, you'll know all about it. But like just battling with somebody from your home nation, knowing that you'd be qualified if you were in any other, like if that person wasn't there, you'd be definitely going. And I hadn't been to a games before, so I felt like just getting there meant everything. And when I finally got past the line, it was just such a level of relief. And there was only 6 weeks to go, I think, to the actual games. And I think it took me too long to get over the excitement of actually qualifying. I think it just drained me. And then to get back up for the actual games after that was, I found that really, really difficult to do. But that qualification, that's definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, was qualify for those games. The last month of qualification, it came down to, I think it was the Masters and the Europeans, and I think I got a bronze medal in the Europeans a month before the end of the qualification. But they put that Masters in right at the end, which is worth so many points. And we'd just been thinking, oh, okay, do well at the Europeans and that'll secure your spot. And then there's this extra tournament thrown in at the end, which is worth so many points. So I literally woke up nervous every single morning for the next month. And he was churning every morning. It was just such an awful feeling. And then in the Masters, me and Gemma had each other in the quarterfinal. So whoever won that fight, it was so close between us. Whoever won that fight was going to end up going to the games. And I managed to beat her and got the bronze that day. And yeah, it was just relief, I think, after it, like to work so hard for something and then finally get there. I just wish I'd not seen that as the end goal so much. It was really hard to get myself up for the next bit, just because of all the emotions that come with going to your first games. Like, yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, it's like a really big input. And yeah, I do believe how hard it is. Like, I had the same, like, for 2020, Miriam Budgreit and I were like really close. And it was like so weird because one competition she was good, I was bad. The next competition I was good, she was bad. It was like also all the times was like ping pong playing with each other. And it's like really relieving. Like when for the first time I was qualified, because in Corona we needed to qualify for a second time. But
brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was hard too.
Because I remember thinking of Anna-Marie Wagner in that situation and Miles Zhang, because they were in my weight. I was like, how are they going to, I just thought, oh my God, to be in that situation.
Yeah, and I was kind of in the same situation, and I first qualified in Düsseldorf Grand Slam, like in our home Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. And after I took the bronze medal, I was like crying because I was like, oh wow, I did the Olympic qualification. Yeah. And that's like so relieving. That's like it's so emotionally, because like a goal you're like setting and you just want to reach it and you'll be like, oof, I did it.
Yeah, it's massive. And yeah, if you've been to a games before, you don't have that same relief the next time you qualify. It's different. But you just can't, I don't know, obviously some people do deal with it really well and they manage to just, like Anna-Marie Wagner, for example, she went and performed at the games straight after winning the Worlds. And
yes.
But yeah, that wasn't my experience. It just felt like such relief, and the energy just went for me from finally getting across the line.
Yeah, I do believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, at the end of the day, you managed, I guess, to make the 7th place.
Yeah.
So this is also like, I mean, in Germany, we got the saying like, the main important thing is to be at the Olympics, and that's like the biggest thing. But actually, at the end of the day, to make a 7th place is also like one of the biggest results possible. So kind of late, but congratulations to that. And 1 year later, you were. So if we believe the world ranking, you were at your peak performance. You were number 1 in the world ranking. Mm-hmm. Actually, the first female British judoka, and since then the only or the last British judoka in male and female. And
I think the two girls might have got it since that. I think Chelsea and Lucy might have. Yeah.
Really?
They got world number 1 recently, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I know it's that better, but it's not quite true.
Okay. And how proud were you of this accomplishment? I mean, like, I know it with Giovanna, she was number 1 in juniors, and this was like in our hometown, like really a big thing. And everybody was like, hey, number 1 in the world, and I'm the big guy, and those things. But how was it? How did you feel about this accomplishment? I mean, in this year, you were also like 3rd at the World Championship in Budapest. So it was like, more or less a perfect year for you.
Yeah, 2017 was, from a judo perspective, it was a really good year. Everything just seemed to come together. And I think getting to number 1 on the ranking list, it's quite a new thing, isn't it? Because so prestigiously in judo, it's the Worlds and Olympics where, but I think it's 2009, I think the ranking list came in, was it? But ever since I've been in judo, it's been there. And it was always an aim of mine to get to the top of it. I just like I've always liked the idea of being really consistent over a long period of time. Like, obviously it's incredible to just do one-off performances and be like the best on the day. But I also think there's a real skill to consistently showing up at every competition and being able to deliver. And I think being world number one shows that over a 2-year period. So yeah, I was really proud of it. I think that's my proudest achievement from my career is getting to world number one.
Yeah. If you're number one, that really shows like your consistency that you like really have. And yeah, we are going straight from 2017 to the Olympic Games in Tokyo, where we both participated. And after your like poorly early exit at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, you like considered retiring from your career, but still you were like coming back to judo. And what motivated you to come back to competing at the like high level in judo?
Yeah, it was a tough one, that Tokyo cycle. Like, I mean, it was tough for everybody, wasn't it, with COVID? And it was just, I felt like I was really at my best in that cycle. I was consistently in the top 4 or 5 in the world for the period. And I think just before COVID hit, I won the Tel Aviv Grand Slam, and I felt like momentum was building. And then obviously COVID hit, and through COVID, I just threw myself into training. That was my coping mechanism, really, was just keep training as hard as you can and doing everything you can. And me and my training partner isolated together, and we were able to just keep training through that period. But by the time it had all come out the other end, I just felt really burnt out, to be honest. I think I'd not left my foot off the gas enough, got a bit burnt out. I got injured maybe 6 weeks before the games. I tore my oblique. And it just started to fall apart, really. At that point, I think, a few decisions, maybe should have made different decisions along that period. But there were so many unknowns at that point. I think we did the best that we could with the situation that I forgot what the question is now. I've just started rambling.
like the question was, no, it's fine. It's good if you just like go and talk. But the question is like, after Tokyo, you were like wanted to retire, and you were like, oh, you wanted to come back, and what like motivated you to come back?
Yeah, so I think that 5 years. I think in that 5 years, I felt like I was at the level to get an Olympic medal, and that's obviously my dream, and that was my goal. I feel like it was the one medal that I hadn't got, and I really thought I was capable of doing. That extra year just made it too far. Like, it was just too much for me, that extra year. But once I recovered and came back to it, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it anymore at that point. But there was something in me that was like, you're not quite done. I think that just nagging thing about Olympic medal, like, can you get that Olympic medal? Do you want to give it one more try? Is it possible? And obviously, age was starting to get against me a little bit. But then I saw people like Montero smashing it. There was older athletes, people like Teddy Renier, obviously, he's on another level to everybody else. But there was people out there that were at the best of their ability at 34, and that I would have been 33 in Paris. So I thought, well, nearly 34. So I convinced myself that it was possible. And then I can't remember exactly the timeline, but I was a bit like one foot in, 1 foot out. I wasn't like 100% committed like I had been for the rest of my career. For the last 2 cycles, I was all in 100%. Everything was about judo and being the best I could be. But I think I maybe got to a point where I was like, there is more than life to judo. And I think once I realized that it wasn't everything, it's very hard to put yourself on the line and give that extra effort you need all the time to be the best you can be when you know what it was before that made you that good. And you don't feel like you want it probably as much as you did then. So it's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then I decided, no, I'm going all in now. So I think maybe for the qualification then, 2 years before, I was like, yeah, you're gonna do it. And then I had a test fight for the World Masters. I can't remember where it was, but 2 years out from the games. And I tore my MCL in it. So tore my MCL, and we had it scanned, and then it turned out that my ACL was actually torn as well. And so then they said, right, you need it surgery. So was it a year to the games? No, I can't remember the timeline now. My timeline was all over the place. It must have been a year to the end of the qualification at this point. and I found out that my knee was not great, and the doctor said, you need surgery on it. If I had the surgery, I wouldn't have had a chance at Paris because there was another British girl trying to qualify for the space.
Yeah.
So they said, well, you can try and rehab it and see if you can get back in time without the surgery. And the tear from the ACL, they later found that was an old ACL tear. So I'd been competing through a lot of my career, we don't know how long, with no ACL.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is mad. So the rehab, I just decided to go back in and see how far we can get. And I think it took me about 7 months to get back where I could compete again. But there was quite a lot of fear around it then, because everyone was like, well, we don't actually know if you can do it again, but we're just going to try and see. But I got back, I was competing, I wasn't performing very well in my first few events back. And then I started to gather a bit of momentum. And I think it was the last 4 events. I think it was Dushanbe, Kazakhstan, and the Worlds, something like that. And I got to the bronze match in the first one of them. Was it Dushanbe?
Dushanbe, yes. You were fighting against Emma Reed in the bronze medal fight, or before? I don't know.
Yeah. I beat Emma in the. I beat Emma in the quarterfinal, I think, and then she made it through to the other bronze match, and I was in the other bronze match. We were both fighting for bronze.
This way.
Yeah, and then in the bronze match, I lost to Paku, and in the process, I broke my ribs. And, so then it was just shit. I didn't know I broke my ribs. I just knew I was in a lot of pain. But we had to fly straight from Dushanbe to Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
and it was my last. I had to fight. Like there was no, but I just couldn't fight. I got out on the mat. I was like, I can't. I think we hit the floor, and she tried to sangaku me, and I was like, I can't defend. It was just, it was pointless. I should have. I don't know. There was no option really. I fight or I don't go to the game. So, and then the Worlds was like 2 weeks later, and it wasn't time obviously for my ribs to repair by then. So I knew it was kind of over. And then Emma did get a bronze at the Worlds, which was the nail in the coffin, but she probably would have been selected without that result because, and that was kind of it then, really. That was the end of the qualification, and I always planned to retire after Paris anyway. So the time was just right to finish then, really. Yeah,
that's true. But last year in December, we were seeing in Rotterdam at the trainings camp. This one, was it also one from your first trainings camp from the comeback?
Yeah, so that was my first training camp after, trying to rehab it. And I loved that training camp. It was so fun. It was I just really enjoyed being back on the mat. And actually that whole year of just coming back from zero and building up, I actually really enjoyed the whole thing. The worst part was actually that stressful period at the end where you're having to compete for your spot. Actual judo and the whole process. I really enjoyed the last year.
I also I liked it also pretty much in Rotterdam because it's cool. You have different partners because always where we go, we have the same trainings partners. Also, if we have international camps, it's cool, but it's also nice to, we were talking, to have a new input and to fight against new people and the new generation and different kind of judo. So I really liked it also being there. And for me, it was also my first training camp after ACL. Yeah.
It was so nice because it was so open as well. You could just keep practicing. It's like being in Japan. I felt like I could just keep doing Randori after Randori and practice technique and get my confidence in my knee back up. Did you find the same?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But then Mittersill 2 weeks later, that was not fun. That was the worst week. Yeah, I did not enjoy that. That knocked my confidence massively. I remember going on with Belandi, and I don't know why I went on with Belandi in my first training camp back after barely doing any Randori. But she just threw me, and then I got up and she threw me. And I was like, my coach was like, why did you go on with her? We're meant to be slowly getting back. And I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. She asked me for one. I just didn't think this through. But we did get there in the end in terms of getting back to Randori and stuff. But the Mittersill was not fun.
I think we were luckily in Japan, but I think I would be shitting my pants being in Mittersill, second trainings camp. It's so fucking cold in the hall. Sometimes it's when it's so frozen, it's ice on it. And you'd be like, it's so cold and you need to warm up so hard. And it's like, then you go with Bolandi, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And everyone's always so big and strong after Christmas, aren't they? And it's like, oh, it's just like a fight. Not soft. It's like, yeah. But there was also people that I was fighting in Rotterdam the week before, having really good practices with. And it was completely different in metal. I don't know if my mindset had changed because it's suddenly like competitive, not enjoying and getting into the judo. But
yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. But no, that was not fun. I do believe Mr. Still ever again for a Randori.
But I think it is what it is. It's always like this. If somebody asks for Randori, you take it. It's like
that's the thing, isn't it?
In us judokas in. But I'm a little bit flabbergasted, let's say, because you said you kind of enjoyed this process after or you coming back and all this injury stuff, because me personally, I was never at this highest, not even close on national level, that I could get like national medal. And so I'm in a civil workplace, let's say, and always they say, oh, you're crazy, you're doing new weight cuts and you're always injured. And now we got you here saying like, you enjoyed this process of coming back also like after injuries, especially after you got those thoughts of retiring. Like, how is it possible from a place where you wanted to retire anyways, and then have all these injuries, all these putbacks, and still loving the process? Like, how is it? I mean, I'm also a judoka, but how you can explain this to the outside world that you can still love what you're doing, even though you hurt every day?
I think it was the challenge of it. They said to me, I don't know if you can get back from this knee injury. So it was kind of like, well, let's see. Like, and actually I learned that I really like the process of training, having a really simple life, eat well, sleep well, train, have a little bit of social time in the afternoon. Like, I really liked that routine, no traveling. I was just at home. And also I've traveled for such a long time now. Been on the road for like 16 years. So to be in one place for 6 months and have that structure and that simple life, I don't know. Yeah. And I was making progress every day as well. Every week you could see the gains and see the improvement. And that was really motivating. So I think it was the challenge and I hadn't had a major injury before. I've been really lucky for my career as well. So that was probably the biggest injury I had to come back from as well. I suppose it was the challenge element. And sometimes, when something's taken away from you, you realize, actually, I do want to give this my best and give it 100%. So there's probably an element of that as well. I think I got caught up in a little bit of a frantic state before I got injured of maybe like chasing points. Oh, I really want to qualify. Oh, let's go to this competition. And when actually I needed to strip it all back, start from scratch, build up slowly. Obviously, it would have been better to do that without the injury, but actually I probably needed to do that anyway. Just build up from the start again.
Yeah. I think you said it like really well. You want to be like competitive, like with yourself in a kind of way, and to be like, they say I can, but I show you I can. Yeah. It's like in judo, I think you need this competitive thought. Otherwise you'll be like not successful.
No, 100%. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. For sure.
Yeah, but I think this is also something not only in judo. I think everybody should get this and see this, because I mean it's something we learn in judo. We fall one time, we should step up another time. It's always like this in judo, but you also need it in the normal world. Let's say if somebody don't believe in you, it doesn't matter. You are the only one who needs to believe in yourself. Of course, it's good if you have like supporting cast around you, but at the end of the day, this thought is in your head, and you should believe always in yourself. And fast forward to now, you announced your retirement. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you already kind of said it before, like Paris was planned to be the last Olympics, and you had this time frame for your career. But at the end of the day, what was the final reason? Because I think after not getting the qualification for another Olympic games, and you still want to have this medal, maybe you could think, oh, okay, maybe I will try for another 4 years. Like how was the process? And what was the main reason to say, okay, I'm stepping away from it now?
I think everyone's always said to me, you'll know when it's time. And that's just exactly how I felt. It just felt really right in my gut that I was super excited about the next chapter and seeing what else was around the corner and exploring new things. My body wasn't going to hold on for another 4 years, and my mind didn't want to do another 4 years of what I know what it takes to be the best you can be. And I'm not willing to sacrifice. I've never seen judo as a sacrifice, but doing it for another 4 years, I would be sacrificing a lot of time with my friends and my family and my partner. And that's not the sort of, I'd rather focus on that element of my life now rather than judo. I think I gave it everything in those 2 cycles, Tokyo and Rio, and it wasn't quite good enough for an Olympic medal, and I'm okay with that. I know I gave everything I could, and I'm content with my career when I look back. Right now, anyway, I don't know, in like 5-10 years, maybe I look back and have regrets, but currently I just feel really content with what I've achieved. I think if I looked like 10-year-old me, and I said, I showed her what I've achieved in judo, I don't think I would have ever thought that I would have done what I've done. So I think I can, I'm pretty happy. And I'm quite grateful that I feel content as well, because I know a lot of people finish their careers and feel like, I could have done this or I could have done that, because there is always more you can do. There's loads of more things I could have done, but I feel like I've given it my all and I couldn't have given it any more, really. So I'm content with that. So that just is a nice place to move on from.
I think also like in 10 years, you'll be like, I think also if you go like further in the years, I think maybe you're being like more proud actually also about what you achieved, because I think it's good like that you also like right now, what you'd be like, okay, what you achieved. But I think over the years, you'd be like, I did this and that. And it's like so many people really want to achieve maybe what you did, but they just like can't. And so I think it's like, you did just nice. And that's just like the most important thing.
No, it definitely is. So, I just feel excited and ready for the next stage. I just don't have any, I don't really have any sadness in me, which I feel just really grateful about that, because I know how difficult transitions can be for so many people. But I think I've also been really fortunate that my coach, Darren, he's put so many things in place for me to transition well. Like he made me do my master's and he made me do this book chapter with him. And like when I went for the golf job, these are all things that helped me get the job. And they're there because he's been really proactive in making sure that I've been thinking about this next step and helped me make the transition so smoothly, really. So I've been very fortunate at the sport I've got around me, not only Darren, but like my family and Sport Wales and British Judo. They've all helped pretty good in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you did like your master, and you also were like saying that you got like, I don't think you say like foundation, but when you were like going to competitions, you were like getting the sponsorship from Great Britain or from Wales.
Yeah.
And did you maybe get like other like kind of way of money, or is like there another way to a foundation to elite sport athlete in Great Britain?
I've never had to do anything outside the sport, really. So I was really fortunate up until 20. I can't remember what level it came in, but in Welsh sport, if you hit a certain level of performance when you were cadet and junior, you got a certain amount of money a year. I think there's me and one other boy that got, I think, about $8,000 for the year. So when I was in uni, that paid for my like living costs and just, my day-to-day food and whatnot. So that helped through that period. And then once I got to get onto British Judo funding at the time, you had to get 2 Grand Prix medals. So then when I was, I think, 21, I got 2 Grand Prix medals, which got me onto the APA funding, which in the UK, they have a system from F to A based on your performances. So I think F is maybe you get $5,000 a year. And then if you're A standard athlete, which is normally winning a world or Olympic medal, you get about $30,000 a year. And that's all tax free. So then that was always, for the rest of my career, that was always enough for me to live. And get by on. So I've been, really fortunate in that sense. And then you obviously win prize money and stuff along the way as well, I would say maybe the last 2 years of my career, when I was injured and I didn't, I was probably going into my savings quite a bit then. But up until that point, I was quite lucky. But yeah, I think I had some sponsorships in terms of Fighting Film sponsored me at one point for kits. And I think I had a few nutritional sponsors, but nothing major in terms of sponsorship.
Yeah. But it's cool that you get like the money like tax free.
Yeah.
Because like saves you a lot of money. Because if you get like the taxes, you'll be like, okay, I just have half of it. And it's like, you can live from it, but it's like, still feels like it's not enough.
No, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, also 30 grand it's not like you get rich of doing it. And if you compare it, especially in Wales with golf and other sports, I mean, I'm not complaining for sure, but it's crazy to see the money who you as judokas on the highest level are getting. And then when you go to the Olympics and afterwards you will read in the newspapers, oh, why didn't they win any medals? And they get enough money, and why they don't do anything. And I'm thinking like, man, those people like working every day for their dreams, and they get the bare minimum, and you're complaining at the end of the day. So I think it's kind of crazy, but for those like you and Giovanna who go this path, I got a lot of respect for doing this. So it's a great thing to do. And this may be another thing in this direction. So you were more than a decade part of the British Judo team, and you already mentioned a little bit like how you motivate yourself over all these years. But what was the reasons, or how could you possibly motivate yourself over this long period of time with also like a lot of injuries and all those stuff? And part of that, how could you be on this high level for such a long time? What was like the key for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't really know how because when I look back, I think, oh my God, it was so long. I was competing for so long on the circuit. And I don't know how people go on for even longer, because at the end now, I was done, like mentally, physically, I was just exhausted. I didn't want to do that same thing again and repeat it. But I don't know, how do I stay motivated? I suppose you're just always chasing the next goal, or there's always something to improve on, or some area you want to get better. And I was fortunate for quite a long period. I think through the Rio and Tokyo cycle, I just kept getting better, and I could see that the hard work I was putting in, I was showing the results. Whereas from Tokyo onwards, I wasn't seeing those gains. It felt like I was fighting to get back to where I was all the time, which was much harder and much less motivating. Because I think I was fortunate throughout my career. I kind of just hit each level, like you got a European Cup medal. I'd get a European Cup medal, then I'd win a European Cup, and then I'd get a European Open medal, and then I'd win one, and then it kind of just kept gradually going like that. It's not like I just randomly out of nowhere won a world medal. Do you know what I mean? I did every stage as it came, and I think that probably helped because it was very incremental and over a longer period of time. But it was definitely harder to motivate myself in the last cycle when it was harder. I wasn't performing like I used to, or I felt that I was capable of. And I don't know if, something changed in me as well. I didn't know if I wanted it as badly. And is that because I've been doing it for so long and it's very repetitive? You've done the same thing year in, year out, hypertrophy at the beginning of the year, build up. And the cycle's very the same. And we used to do these high-low days as well, which were horrific. And before every major, I think Germany do similar preparation, actually, like 3 days of just really hard. And like in the last cycle, the thought of doing them before every major was tough going. But I think overall, I'm just really disciplined. If I say I'm going to do something, I will turn up, I will show up and do what I set out. So probably discipline is the one thing that kept me going through it all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, if you have success, you'll be like hungry for more. You want more, and you
100%.
have like a different, you're really thinking like different. And I think what's also really hard for an athlete is like if you getting like injury after injury and coming back from injury and have like some kind of fear in your head.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, and then you get like injury again with the ribs, but then I have to fight again. And now you have like in your head, on my knee and my ribs.
Yeah.
And it's like you have so many, you have the fights on the mat, but also the fights in your head.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's both so difficult if you're like fighting in your head. The fights on the mat, it's so much harder than if your head is like free.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's such a mental sport, isn't it? It's like, it's so much in your head. Like I really think like at the top end, it's 80% in your head. Because everyone's putting the hours of work. Everyone's trained hard to get to the level. You're all the same height, weight, physically. There's differences, but not a massive amount between the weight categories. But mentally, that's where it really shows on the day, I think. So if you're not in it 100%, how can you put your heart on the line when it's golden score and you've got to dig in for that last? You're just not going to, are you?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's true. We also kind of mentioned, like my brother said, like some people associate like bad things with judo because like cutting weight, you go for competitions even if you're injured. But what do you think has judo given to you in your life?
Yeah, that question's a big one, isn't it? It's hard because I only know my life with judo, so it's basically given me everything really, because it's given some of my best friends are the people in judo, but also it's like there's so many special people in judo, you know, like the coaches and the teams you work with at every stage of your life. They may not be your best friends, but you've still got made such good connections with different people through your life, and then worldwide as well. I feel like I could go to any country now and be able to message somebody and say, oh, where should we go here? Or do you want to meet up for a coffee? Or like, I've got so many connections all over the world. It's like, which is mad. Like, I just can't imagine when I was a kid thinking, oh, I'm going to go and see all these different places and meet all these different people. And then for the rest of my life feel like that I've got a family around the world. That's pretty crazy and cool. But I also think it's just given me the freedom I've always loved sports. So that's always been my passion, no matter what sport it was. But to, be an athlete. I remember I don't remember, but we recently looked in my yearbook at school. So when we left school about 16, everybody put what their dream was. And like my dream was to, be an athlete and travel the world. And like, that's exactly what I did. So it's pretty cool really when you look back that, you just got to travel the world doing sport, which is, cool. But I think the relationships is the main thing that I'll take from judo, really. I've made, life for judo.
Yeah. I think also what you were writing in your yearbook is like really showing that dreams can come true. Yeah. And I think that's pretty lovely. It's like so nice to be like, oh, wow, I really did what I was dreaming of. And it's like, I think it's so wholesome and lovely. Yeah. It's just great.
Yeah. I was surprised when I saw actually like what I'd written. I was like, oh, that's actually what I've just done, really.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, we got another question. We already mentioned like how long you were in the business of judo and how long you were in the national team. So for everybody who's listening, Natalie is not that old, as we say. If she's like 20 years or over 10 years in the Olympic circuit and all those things. If you look at this, that you were making judo for 20 plus years, and what would you say, what were the biggest changes in judo from your point of view from when you started to now? Because if you see when you started like on the international level, like 2010, 11, 12, there were already, there were just these World Cups in place. There was, I think in 2012 or 11, when you make your first medal at Abu Dhabi, there was like the beginning of this Grand Slam and Grand Prix thing. So this is like one thing where you can see like how long you've been in the business. Yeah. But what were, from your point of view, the biggest things that changed in judo from then to now?
Obviously the IGF tour was a big change. I think that's done like the world of good for judo. I think it's a really positive change. I think the equality between men and women, I've seen that shift during my time on the circuit as well, with the equal qualification for women and men at the Olympics, prize money the same. I feel like it's really equal across the board. Whereas when I started judo from like junior coming up, there was definitely less women, and it's quite a male-dominated environment in Wales for sure. And by the time I'm finishing now, there's more women on the British national team than there is men, I think, and the women's team is like performing better on the international circuit in Britain as well. So definitely seen a shift in that. I would say the rules as well. The rules have changed a lot since I've been. And in my opinion, the rules were the best in the Rio cycle when there was leg grabs, but only as counters. And I felt like watching the Rio games, it was so amazing to watch. I felt there was lots of throw-in, lots of ip-ons. It was really exciting to watch. And for my feeling, the last two cycles is slowly, judo's changing quite a lot. I feel like everyone's ability to do judo is just as good, but people are trying to win more on passivity and playing the tactical game. I feel like it's the rules of moving judo away from scoring big ip-ons. There's a lot of drop-in techniques, and even the best throwers in the world seem to be adopting the Shido tactics of just outworking your opponent instead of really trying to throw them, which, I don't like to watch that as much. So I feel like the rules need some sort of change in now, this cycle, really, to counteract that, for it to be a spectator sport again, really. I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
I don't know, actually. I think it's like more right now they wanted to do more like friendly for people who don't know judo to watch. Yeah. That they maybe understand. But I think it's like many people be like, they watching judo be like, I don't understand anything, and be like, that's so weird. And what are you doing? And what are you wearing? And I think they want to go like with the flow, because they're like really like, they're making good work on Judo TV and also on like Instagram. But I think it's like, you were kind of right. It's like the throws are missing. Yeah. It's really like more with Shidos, and be like, you like get pushed out, but you get a Shido for stepping outside, and be like, like she pushed. I wanted, like, how much more should I push back that I don't get the Shido? It's like, sometimes it's like quite weird.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think the one that annoys me the most is the drop in, because I'm not a dropper, so I think I've probably got a tainted view on this. Yeah. I do. For my feeling, like, people just drop in the face just to make it look like attack, and I feel like there needs to be a more, like, if you just sheeted them for doing a rubbish drop, they're probably going to make sure they really attack on the next one, and then you'll probably get a proper rip-on, or at least a close with the score. But I feel like there's too many failed attacks that are getting counted as attacks now, when they're not real attacks. But I'd like to see some more ip-on judo, really.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we're getting like some grabs, like leg grabbing
on social media going around that there's leg grabbing. I don't know if there's fake news on it, but
I don't know. I think maybe it's a rumor, but I'm not sure if I would like it, because I never was like used to it, and I think I would be like dead ass.
Please throw me. Take a rumor.
I'm not sure how I would deal with it, because again, they were kind of out before we were allowed counters in the Rio cycle, but I never really got in the habit of doing leg grabs properly. So I would probably find it I think the taller athletes would definitely struggle more now. If the leg grabs were brought back in. So I think at some of the weights there is, like in the women at least, there's being tall is definitely an advantage in some of them, I would say. Whereas leg grabs would probably remove that advantage.
And I think it's so weird, because they did like everything to get away from leg gripping.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay, let's get it back again. It's be like, what the hell?
It'd be strange. Yeah. So I don't.
But sometimes you never know, actually.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But you are right about the way they present judo now. I think that's improved a lot, and I think it is really, really good the way they broadcast it and the Ippon TV and stuff. That's really great. It looks really good for viewers, I think.
Yeah, it's really nice to look at.
Yeah,
that's true.
Sure.
Yeah, that's really true. So we kind of getting to the end. We have like 2 more questions, and before we also start like with our quick fire. And what do you think would you do differently when you look back at your career?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I don't think I would change anything, because I feel like I've got to a place now where I'm really content and happy. And I don't think that if I change anything along the way, that's probably not going to be the end goal. Yeah, like obviously certain aspects in your life you wish, that would have been a bit easier, or I wish I didn't have to go through that tough time. But actually those tough times just build that resilience and build your ability to stick in there and push for those goals. So I know this is a really cliche answer, but I don't think I would change anything, because I feel like the hard times is kind of what made me the result. Like, when I got world number 1 in 2017, for like 3 years before, 6 years, I was like really struggling with my sexuality for that. And I feel like if I hadn't gone through that battle, I don't think I would have got the results. It was like I was fighting against something and for something. And it would have been nice not to fight through that. But actually, I think that made me good at judo. So I probably wouldn't change that. So that's probably the biggest thing I went through. And it probably actually enhanced my judo career in the end. I probably wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah. But I think it's like not a cliche to say that like you be like, say like you wouldn't change anything, because actually I think many people be like, oh, I want to change this or that. And just like not so many be like, oh, I'm happy with what I did. So I think that's pretty nice.
Yeah, maybe. Thanks.
And I mean, it shows that you're in a good place, because maybe, as you mentioned before, there are some players who stepping away from the sport and then always looking back. And I think it's not a good thing to look back with regrets and what you could do and what you could not do, because there's always will be one day where somebody better than you. And so you always have to be grateful and humble that you got what you got, because there are so many people lower than you than they are on top of you. So, I mean, it is what it is. And actually,
there's sports as well, isn't it? Like, we all know how fast it can be over. Like Abe going out in the first round of the Olympics. Like, nobody saw that fight. It's just so brutal. Yeah.
I mean, this is like also the beauty of the sport, because at the end of the day, maybe, okay, the other one is more experienced, the other one is bigger, taller, stronger, got more technique, but you need just 1 second. And I think this is the beauty of the sport, which is not so good to see in television when you are not experienced in judo. But if you do it, you always have the feeling, and you can say, I can more or less beat everybody, like on a good day, let's say. But that's so I love this point of it. But actually, we got 2 more questions, because Joanna stepped over one, because I think this is also number 13. Doesn't matter.
Did I?
So
I have to check.
You always. So we talk a lot of times in this podcast, in this episode, about Welsh judo and how is it different for you than, for example, fighting in the Commonwealth? It's the only possibility to fight for your national country. And we would like to know, what advice would you give in general to younger judo players who want to go pro, and especially to younger judo players who are from Wales?
I would say not to specialize too young in judo. I feel like a lot of people pick their sport really early doors, and kind of type cast themselves to like just do judo from like 13 and just judo. And I often see that they get burnt out by the time their early senior careers, or they're getting a lot of injuries because they've just done that one sport. So I'd say probably try everything when you're younger, do as many sports as you can, and then, see what sticks. And then hopefully it's judo once you come to senior. But I think there's a lot to be said about having a really wide base of different sports, particularly from an injury perspective and from a boredom perspective. Like I've been doing elite judo for 14 years, like from at the international level. That's a long time. If I started doing judo at like 8 to 20 and did it serious at that time, there's no way I would have lasted the time I have. And I think that I was quite young, old, starting to take it seriously from a British perspective. Everyone was like, oh, what? Like, yeah, she's quite old. Like, when I wasn't that old in the grand scheme of things. And obviously I did come through, but the players that they had their eyes on were all doing really well at like 15, 16. You know, they were already winning the European medals or going to the World Championships and whatever. Whereas I wasn't even at the races at that age. I was still doing like tennis and athletics and lots of other sports. So for me, I feel like having that broad base of different sports really helped me when I come through to my actual career. I didn't really suffer with injuries as much as some people did for the majority of it. And I was fresh and excited about the challenge.
And especially for the people in Wales?
And there's people in Wales. I think in Wales is definitely like a lack of belief, and we've got England that's next door to us, and they're much bigger. They have a lot more success in most aspects of like sport and jobs, and there's not as many jobs in Wales. And I feel like we're always kind of seen as England's little baby. So I think I would say you can do anything that you want to put your mind to, and you shouldn't really limit your beliefs. Like, reach for the Olympics, reach for the main goals. Don't like bring your beliefs down because you don't think you can do it. You can achieve much more than you think you can. So I'd probably say that to Welsh people in particular.
I think that's really true, because it's like, I think it's pretty good to set like high goals, like you said, because then you'll be like more motivated and be like, okay, I'm trying just all my best. And if you be like, oh, I just set it high because it's like easier to reach, you'll be like, okay, it's like, it's easier than saying high goals. So I think it's also, like you said, really important to set high goals to reach it. That's nice.
100%. I think that's the one thing. Like, when Darren came in, so I started working with my coach that I worked with to the end of my career in like 2014. But he like completely changed my belief and what I thought was possible. So this, sorry, I got a tickle in my throat.
Oh, don't worry.
But when he came in, he really started making me believe, and within like just a few months, the power that somebody believing in you and really showing you what's possible, that really completely changed my outlook and my career, really.
Yeah, that's really important. That's true.
Which is, I think, a lot of people, particularly in Wales, they don't really believe that they can do anything more than the generation above them did. And it's sad because they can. There's so much potential, but nobody really believes in themselves. I don't know. It's a culture. I think it's a cultural thing, because I don't see the same in England.
But how? I mean, like, if I'm looking to like Great Britain, like the Wales and the Irish people, they always seem, for me personally, like such a proud nation, and it's kind of irritating. Like they're not believing in themselves because they such strong nation.
Yeah, we are very proud, and everyone's very proud and passionate about being Welsh. But from the judo perspective, I feel like there's definitely a limit of belief in what we can achieve. So I would just say to them that we can do whatever everyone else can, really. Yeah.
True. It's like also some of my coaches said, it's like when you'll be like, sometimes when you know you have to fight against your pen, you'll be like, oh, like not shitting your pants, but be like, oh, they're so much better. And then one coach is like, oh, they also just cook like with water. And it's like, yeah, that's true actually. Like everybody has like, okay, maybe someone has like more potential than the other one, but at the end, like everybody is, if you train hard, most of the time you will get success.
Yeah.
And if you just like don't believe in yourself, like you, like my brother also said, you like need to be the first one who believes in yourself, and the rest will just come with the time. But if you don't believe in yourself, who else will be?
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. So my brother was right, and it's like
As
not
always.
a thing. It's not a thing I would say like often, but now we are really coming to our last question. And you also mentioned before that being number one in the world was one part of your career you were like really proud of. But did you maybe have like something else looking back on your career where you'd be like, oh, I'm really proud of this one?
There's one that, yeah, I feel like every time I did something new that felt like a really proud moment, like if you got your first European medal, your first world medal, that always feels really special. Commonwealth was special for the reasons we discussed. But the earliest memory I have of being really special was the UK School Games, which is probably not a competition you've ever heard of, but it's basically England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. And yeah, one person from each of those countries comes and we compete in a competition. And I hadn't beaten the Scottish girl or the English girl ever. And I beat the Scottish girl and the English girl that day. And it was a pool system, so I had to fight the English girl again in the final.
Oh.
Sorry. I don't know if I get it. And then I managed to beat the English girl again in the final. And it was just one of my best memories. My dad came to watch for one of the first times, and my dad doesn't come to a lot of my competitions, but he's been at all the ones that I've done really well. Like he was at the Commonwealth, he was at the Worlds, he was at the UK School Games. So he's kind of my lucky charm, I always say, with my dad. Because my mum used to come to all the competitions, she was always there. So UK School Games, he was there, and I beat those two girls I'd not beaten before, and I got my GCSE results the same day, which is your 16 exam results, and I did really well in them, better than I expected to, and it was just a really lovely weekend. So that's one of my really good memories of my judo career.
Yeah, that's so lovely. Cool. So, like we were saying, we are starting with a quick fire.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, are you ready?
I don't know. We'll see.
Because now are the really important questions.
Like better out of winter and summer, but if they're going to be more challenging than that.
Yeah, there are maybe like some questions you have like to think a little bit more, but if like you're gonna get it.
All right.
I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
So it's like summer or winter?
Summer.
Blue or white judogi?
Oh, white.
Ippon by throw or submission?
Throw.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes, 100%.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
Cut it. You cannot do it. Every time somebody is eating pineapple on pizza, there's somewhere in Italy dying a cook who is making pizza. So
good. So good.
I think we should go further to the next question. So it's like card games or board games?
Card games or board games? Oh, I love both, but board games.
Which living or dead person would you like to meet? And it doesn't need to be like a famous person.
Living or dead person? Oh, that's really hard. I'd love to meet Roger Federer. Oh, that's really cliche. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah. And what hidden talent do you have?
I can juggle. I don't know if I can juggle.
Who is the funniest judoka on the British national team, man or woman?
Oh, funniest judoka on the British national team. I would say Jemima Yates-Brown is pretty funny.
She's crazy though.
Yeah.
She has many injuries, by the way.
She is. Yeah, you should definitely get her on here to talk about her injuries. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like really impressive career. Which judoka from your time on the national team would you not hire as a babysitter for your kids?
Lily Nairn. Yeah, definitely wouldn't leave her in charge of my kids.
Okay. If you could relive one competition from your career, which one would it be and why?
Ooh, relive one. It could go one or two ways, couldn't you? You could either... Oh, wait. Can you change the result at the end? Or just relive the actual enjoyment of it?
Relive.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably... I think my first European medal.
Ah, yeah. Why?
And if you could change?
Sorry? I'd change the result of the Tokyo Olympics if I was going to change one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Europeans, I think that was just... Everything just came together that day. I got bronze, but it felt like I'd won gold. In the fight I lost, I felt like I was fighting really well. The preparation was amazing. And it was kind of that first nail in the coffin to getting that Olympic ticket for Rio.
Yeah. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, wow, that's hard. Superpower. Fly. I'd like to be able to fly. No, teleport. Yeah. Teleport.
Yeah.
It's like funny because like everybody is saying that, but I think it's true. I think it's like really 95% in the podcast. Yeah, it's of course like everybody's judoka and be like flying or teleportation.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 travel destinations?
I really like Austria because it's so pretty. The scenery there was beautiful. Well, I haven't been to Switzerland, so that might beat it. But yeah, Austria. What else do I really like? I like Japan as well. But I don't think I'll go back to Japan again now once I finish judo. But I feel really fortunate I've been able to go out there, train there and live the culture. So I like Japan. And somewhere sunny. I like sun. Spain.
Italy.
Yeah, Italy's nice. Yeah, Italy, Spain. Anywhere there's sun. Yeah.
Yeah. Worst advice you've ever received?
Worst advice I've ever received? I don't know.
That's good, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually don't know any worst advice.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
I just stopped working there, maybe.
But I hope maybe you have like a best advice you've ever received.
Best advice. My mum's always like just said, everything happens for a reason, and just go after everything with your whole effort, and what will be will be. And I feel like there's just like a level of comfort in that, knowing that you've given it all, and what's going to be is going to be. So I quite like that thing, because when things do go wrong, you always feel like there's an ulterior motive. There's always something around the corner that's going to be really positive, that's going to come out of that bad situation. So I think that's probably the best bit of advice.
Yeah, I think she's right, actually.
Yeah, because even in the worst times, there's always something that, it gives way to something else. So I like to believe that.
Yeah. In the moment, you'd be like, why is it just like happens to me? But like afterwards, after a time, you'd be like, oh, no, I know why.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And last but not least, my name is Natalie Powell and I am...
My name is Natalie Powell and I am... I don't even know who I am. I'm a friend, a sister, an auntie, a judo coach. Lots of different things.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you.
No problem.
Perfect. So, Natalie, thank you very, very much for your time, and especially so close after your retirement. I mean, like, I saw like hundreds of news all over the internet, like Natalie Powell is retiring, and so thank you that so shortly afterwards you got the time, and we really appreciate it. Also, like to go deep in all the things you see through your whole career, and I think it's a career for the ages. It's like more or less you achieved everything you could and been one of the best British judoka ever. And I think this is like a really big achievement. And I think you can be very, very proud for everything you achieved. And for everybody who's listening right now, if you like this episode, sorry for the bad English, not from Natalie, from us, but we try our best. And if you like to have more English podcast, then just let us know who we should invite for the next episodes. If you would like to have another episode with Natalie, just let us know with like or write in the comment section that we should invite her again. Maybe when she is golf or netball national champion in a few years. So this could be also like interesting to interview her then again. So you know the drill. Follow, like everything. We have also like an Instagram channel where you can also like follow and leave a little bit of love for us. And we will also put the link to Natalie's Instagram in the I think YouTube description and Spotify show notes. So go also on her profile, follow also her and let her be loved there as well. And I think for the end there will be Giovanna, who's maybe also like a couple of sentence for you, and then you can make the end under this beautiful episode. Natalie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalie, for joining the podcast. I really enjoyed this. Like, it's like pretty cool, like getting a different point of view also like on your career. And I wish you for your future all the best. Enjoy life to the fullest. And I think, maybe I hope we like be like still connected. And I think we like see each other on Instagram. And really, thank you so much for joining us. It was really lovely to have you here.
All the best in your career too. I'll definitely be following on it on TV. So you now for LA. So very excited to watch. You're still so young as well. You got.
I'm 26. It's young.
Younger than I thought, because I felt like you've been around for a lot longer than. You feel like you've been around for as long as I have, but you haven't.
No. I think I started like competing in like 2017 was my first senior competition. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. You'll do really good in the next cycle, I'm sure. So I look forward to watching you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. So then for everybody, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment. That's the most important thing, so we can have more so famous and interesting guests like Natalie, and keep on doing judo. And until the next one, bye.
See you.
Bye.